Hi, and welcome to another episode of Kuntarkis. My name is Michael Yon. This episode is on water, but it starts off with Kuntarkis sharing a past life memory with another alien.
I thought about Gonga, right? I thought about Gonga while I was proofreading my book today, and that being popped into my head. And as Kuntarkis, I had a one-on-one battle with him, and he would have been about 6'4", 6'6" high. He was an alien being and very strong in appearance, not as much as what a Nakaron would be, but very strong, very aggressive, very determined. Will fight to the death no matter what. But if he can con you or catch you by surprise, even stab you in the back, that's their race. They would do that because of their aggressiveness towards, say, becoming the best. They, without going into it too much, they were a race of beings that attacked and stole women off the planet. Anything that looked like something like them, they would steal women, because women, for some unknown reason in their society, were dying off a lot younger than what the men were. I have no recollection of why, but that's what they were doing. And if they could steal wealth of any description, like precious metals, things like that, even technology, they would do it. And we were called to a planet, and that was Kanard, myself, not Narcris. He was on another adventure, but also Kalusha, and we were fighting these alien creatures. And luckily, because of how would you say, our way of life, our way of training as warriors was pretty well much better than what theirs was. And we could think far more clearly in how everything would come about. So we knew what they were doing with every move. So we conquered them, no problems. But when it came down to it, he challenged. He challenged either Kanag or myself or Kalusha. And because I was feeling aggressive towards his nature because of what he does, he was a woman killer for a start, especially if the woman didn't do exactly what he wanted. So maybe that's how they were dying. They were being killed off because they were, how would you say, not stubborn, but they believed in individuality, I'd say, more so than anything. So Kanard was going to fight him, but then Kanard came up to me, still with his sword in his left hand, put his right hand on my shoulder and said, "He's yours. End it quick." And I said, "Thank you." And Kalusha came up on my right side and did exactly the same thing. And I sort of smiled at both of them. As I took my attention off him, he immediately took advantage of that and tried to attack me. Kanag literally leapt forward. He pushed me a little by leaping forward and blocking his sword. And then he said, "Take him." And I came in. And within about, say, probably less than 2 minutes, maybe less than 2 minutes, I literally sliced him from the top of his shoulder all the way down to his basic hip in half. And he just slid. The part of his body just slid straight off. And he died within about, say, probably a minute, because he was still, trying to hold on to life. But because of his bad injury, he would have died in about a minute. And he did. He just bled to death so fast. So that was his name.
Mm.
Yeah.
Your swords are super sharp, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Mate, when a Nakaron hits you with a sword, you do not want to be there. He or she can slice you 3 times, 4 times before your body parts start falling.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. I can
Right?
picture that, yeah.
And, yeah, I'm not joking, mate. Their power is so it's like they've already got the Kundalini up there. They're trained to bring forth the Kundalini during their training process. And the training process starts from a young age if they choose to, not because they're told to, if they choose to. But because it's in the genetics, most Nicarons want to. More so the men than women. Probably only 30% of women will do that, where probably, 60 to 75% of the men will, and even more probably. So that's just the way it is. Yeah. You want to say anything first before I mention? It's not going to take long. I just want people to understand the real reality of the negative aspects of water and the positive aspects of water, and who and why we need to be careful.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. You know, the funny thing is, I had an experience a long time ago with watching a video that was made, I believe, in the late 80s, maybe early 90s. I'm not sure, but I think it was the 80s. And I watched this film about what the bleep do we know. Do
Oh,
you
yes, I
remember that?
saw that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a
Right?
little, yeah, yeah. I think it was in the 2000s, wasn't it, actually? Sorry to correct you, but I don't think it
Well,
was in
it
the,
could have been.
yeah, yeah.
It could have been. It could have been. But I'm not sure. I just cannot bring it to
I think I
the
met,
exact time.
I think I watched it just around the time soon before meeting you in 2005.
Okay, it could be around then. And it was a Japanese scientist who was very, very open-minded to quantum physics. He believed in physics, but he also made a statement that most scientists or doctors who are just how would you say in the physics, they won't step beyond those boundaries. They will say no, that's impossible, or they will turn their back and walk away and take no recognition of you whatsoever. Where he believed that quantum physics was unlimited when it came to knowledge. So he started researching water. It's been one of his biggest things for a long time.
You're talking about
But
Dr. Emoto.
that's him.
Yeah.
That's him. Yeah, I just couldn't bring his name to my mind. And he started researching it. And over many years, he discovered, over a few years, I should say, he discovered that water actually had something very unique, especially if anything was positive around it. And he would just experiment over years with it. And what he discovered was water in a positive situation can create crystals. But it also depended on the actual water, from where it came from, the actual source. If it came from, say, beautiful rainforests with natural water flowing, he would say yes, the crystals were this and this and this. But if it came from tap water, there were no formations, and if there were formations, it was very, very
Disjointed
dark,
and
very
dark,
disjointed, twisted, and all that type of thing. And it was amazing. It was amazing. So I thought, when I heard him turn around and say that he was literally doing hundreds of healings on people with just plain water that had these crystals, special water that was not filtered, but water that came out of, say, natural rainforests, out of the earth, or even the waterfalls in Japan. So he did all this for years, and it worked 94, 98% of the time. Some people were too far gone with their bodies, and and also their negativity would not allow the water to do the healing because of their negativity. This is one of the biggest issues with us as a species called humanity. I've spoken about this many times, but I have to say it again. We have been so highly conditioned from one generation to another, to another, to another over the last 928,000 years. That conditioning has created such a negative aspect within our cellular memory that every time we incarnate through certain parents, we have our buttons pressed in a negative fashion. And it brings up old emotion or our parents' emotions. which enhances our emotions, which makes it very difficult for us to grow as a conscious being. Now, water, this is what I've got to explain. Now, this is the only planet that's like this. I'll tell you why. When Father, 4.17 billion years ago, decided to create Earth, he created Earth out of pure living energy manifested through his consciousness into solid matter. He also gave the Earth living consciousness. So Earth, as Mother Earth, could recreate and evolve consciously over the years. And Mother Earth could also help all the creatures that were created by Mother Earth, whether it's through that consciousness or through the water in the oceans, which eventually many mammals came onto the planet Earth and evolved into land beings, which is interesting. Now, the water that we have on Earth has living consciousness. That's where it originates from, living consciousness as a water molecule. The problem is, more likely in the last probably 115, maybe 130 years, lots of different people have created such toxicity and let it flow into all the lakes worldwide. And over a long period of time, which you can see, it has spread throughout the rivers, the oceans, and now we're drinking it. Our tap water having fluoride, having aluminium, and so many different other chemicals that governments have put in. The reason they started doing that in Australia 37 years ago, and in America long before that, how many years? I'm not 100% sure, was because of the elite criminals. The elite criminals knew and found out that water was a substance that could actually heal. And when this guy brought out, this Japanese scientist doctor, brought out all this information, they made sure that every government was forced to put fluoride and aluminium and other chemicals into water to literally block our spiritual understanding, our spiritual connection, which is our pineal gland. And that's what it's done. It's encased it with all the fluoride that's in water. The only way to undo that is to change our thinking and to change our diet. And if we did that as a species, we would learn to understand that water in itself can be spoken to 100% because it is living consciousness and the water has evolved. The water gives us what we think, what we say. If you say to water, I love you, as you drink it, water will create microscopic crystals that will help heal the human body and flush out the toxins. If we say, oh, this water is ugly, it tastes shocking, I hate this water, absolutely hate it, the crystal formation will be so ugly, it will suit the ugliness of the person expressing those words of negativity. So that's where we have free choice. And if we look at life, we have free choice in everything. But we have been so highly conditioned that we don't recognize that reality. And we need to. If we join our consciousness as it develops with the consciousness of the water, we can also learn to connect with our food intake consciously to make our bodies 100% healthy in every way. And that's what I spoke about the other day when we were doing our little episode about how we think we become. we need to change our thought patterns so we can see a more clear picture to what is capable or what is possible with foods that are energetic towards us and water that is happy enough to communicate but also help heal our bodies. Water is a healer, 100%. Only if we are positive. If we are negative, it just won't work because of our negativity. And that's why in so many people, their world has become ugly in so many ways. Their life has become nothing but drama. Their life has become nothing but negative situations which create a mountain full of negativity. And the more we are negative, the higher we have to climb to see the truth. And in most people, it never happens. So water, yeah, go on. You want to say something?
The water. It kind of reminds me like of the properties of a crystal, except much more fluid and fast.
Yes.
Yeah, and I guess everything can be related in a similar way. Like if plants are given love, maybe plants give love back to us. That kind of thing.
Absolutely, Michael. You know, a normal chair that you sit on that's been created and crafted out of, say, solid timber. If we sit on that chair and we put our hand on the side of the chair or the arm and say, this is a beautiful piece of wood. This chair is so comfortable. This lounge is so comfortable. This bed is so comfortable. My clothes just are great. They're comfortable. We are literally putting positive energies into living energy that represents clothes and, toys, motor cars, water, everything we could possibly think of. But we don't do it.
Not often, no. Not at well, but it's true. It's just it's all in the believing, and that everything around us is living energy, just to different frequencies and cycles, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Michael, if we look at say other planets, right, where other planets have dried up and all that type of stuff. Well, Father decided when he created this planet, he decided to do something different. He decided to create the water out of living energy, where it's so purified that you could drink it no matter where it was and not get sick. We have created, through our negativity, mountains of bacteria, not viruses, mountains of bacteria of all different descriptions that can affect the health of our body. We can survive by changing, but it also affects the health because it's negative. Every time we have a negative thought, we get depressed. Every time we have a negative thought, we end up looking to blame somebody else. Every time we have a negative thought, we put junk into our bodies, like food, cigarettes, alcohol, soft drinks. It's what we do. We're punishing ourselves for our own stupidity. And that's not right. We have to stop it. We have to say to ourselves, hang on. I love drinking pure water. I love drinking good water, not this tap crap that's full of chemicals that's literally killing me and my children if I got children. So when we start to become more self-aware, when we take a glass of water and we look at that water and we say, I love you, if we could put that under a microscope, it would make us so surprised to see crystals formulating. That's the beauty.
These days, Kuntarkis, I noticed a video, there's a person putting it out there that you can basically put water near a particular image or something just nearby and then do the same thing, kind of freeze it easily, and it takes on that image, that memory, like it's conscious of what it was near.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. It can replicate.
Replicate the yeah.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
That's why it formulates crystals, right? It formulates crystals because it knows about crystals. And that's the beauty of it. But we don't recognize that because we're so highly conditioned not to.
Oh, we're in a rat race as well, aren't we? We don't stop to
Yeah,
think that everything around us can be receiving our
yeah,
love and make us feel more lovely because we feel lovely towards it.
yeah.
I'll admit that's easy
We,
to
yeah,
lose.
yeah. We used to be far more compassionate, Michael, 100 years ago,
Okay.
200 years ago, but we've lost it because we're being forced to see things in a different way. We're being forced to eat certain foods that are full of toxic chemicals, water that is full of toxic chemicals, and we end up thinking in a negative way. And we can't pull ourselves out of it. And if anybody says anything, most people, because they're so highly conditioned, will look at you as if you're silly or stupid and even say it to you. It's not true. I had a guy come today and pick up some stuff that I had to get rid of. And he came and his name is Michael too, by the way. Yeah. And he came and I helped him load it on early this morning and paid him and all that type of stuff. And he, I said to him, I said, have you ever seen any strange clouds in the sky? He said, no, no. I said, well, about a week and a half ago, because he was talking about clouds, that's right.
Okay.
But I said, about a week and a half ago, I said, there was this massive mushroom cloud. And I said, they were all hanging down like they'd been pumped out of a machine. I said, I've never, ever seen that except in America. And suddenly it's over Toowoomba. Massive. He said, really? I said, yeah, they're chemicals. And I said, they've been doing chemtrail um, um, layers of chemtrails right throughout Australia for years and years and years. And it's the government that are telling the military to do it for whatever reason. Maybe the military have no idea what's in it. And he said, I have heard something about that. I said, do you like watching episodes on podcasts? He goes, oh, yeah. He said, I don't mind. He said, yeah, I got to find something that's interesting, something that's challenging. And I said, here's a card. I said, on the back, just type in Kuntarkis. And I said, you'll have about 127 episodes. He goes, wow. Do you do them? I said, I do, but I also have a guy in Adelaide called Michael, and he actually records like I do, and he edits them and puts them up. He says, oh, wow. He said, I will. I'll definitely do that. He said, I like things that are controversial. He said, what are they based on? I said, everything, but especially the real reality of what's happening in the world. But it's also got other things like the esoteric, reincarnation, genetics, the awakening, everything you could possibly think of, human disease. He goes, oh, yeah, I'm interested in those type of things. I want to start looking at having a more healthier body. I've just given up smoking. And, I've got to sort of cut out my drinking more too. So it's interesting when you start talking to a person that wants to change. Yeah, that's the secret.
Yeah, wanting to change. Whoa. Yeah. It's funny when you question yourself. You say, do I, like I say to myself, something like, but are my actions really showing that I do want to change? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Oh, I hate seeing that. But also, like, when you've had countless people come into your life, and I'm sure you just, because of you, they open up and they want all the best. They want to be loving to themselves and everything. And then along the way, they keep going on their own path, and then something trips them up, and they head back into kind of
Yes.
negativity or who they were or something. Yeah.
That's right. And that's when they go and decide either maybe contact me again or somebody else because they might have lost my card or whatever. So they try again. And that's important. At least they're trying. And that's the most important thing. But it's very hard to communicate with any form of self-awareness if you don't have it. And if you're not willing to look, if you're too scared, too much fear. A lot of the times people impose fear upon themselves and also in others, so they're not willing to change because they don't want to change. They don't want anybody else changing because if somebody else in the family starts changing, it puts pressure on them and they don't want that.
Right. Fear of change. Yeah.
Yeah, fear. I mean, look at parents. I mean, when you get older, there's a lot of parents like, in their 60s and 50s and 70s, 80s, who have never wanted to change and they're still the same as probably when they were 20. And yet their kids may have outgrown them. And a lot of the times they don't see them or it's the other way around. And that's true. You cannot communicate with people that create negativity, because you can't, and this is true, you cannot resolve issues of negativity with the same energy that created them. You have to become self-aware in what you are and what's been created and raise your vibration so you have the energy to uncreate what has been created, even if it's within yourself. The other people, whether they're family or not, it's their responsibility. If they don't want to, you can't force it.
And so a person who is facing and going through a lot of positive change over and over and over must see a lot of cycles of friends and family kind of cycling in and out again and again because they just can't keep up with the positivity that's happening.
No, they can't.
Right.
But they'll put you down in many, many ways and make you look to be the bad person.
Yes. Yes, because it triggers it pushes you. You growing can push other people's buttons. Simple as that.
You know, I know that.
Wow.
I know that one, mate. Yes, I know that one. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. People come into your life for reasons only, and then people go out of your life. Some people stay together, like as friends only, probably most of their life. When they leave school, they meet people and they stay with those people for the rest of their life in so many situations. Other situations, people realize that they're not going to allow themselves to see anything beyond what they are, and they move on to grow more in higher vibrations. Everything in every universe, Michael, is a vibration. Everything has a vibration. Even a piece of concrete has a vibration.
Right.
A piece of metal has a vibration. A piece of rubber on the tires has a vibration. It doesn't matter what it is, but its vibration, it could be 10 cycles per second, 1,000 cycles per second. It depends on what that substance is in its own evolution at that time, just like we as humans.
And that vibration and frequency that exists in all these different things is technically just the same as, and can operate the same as what we're saying about water, just at different degrees, and therefore water is so special because it is so fluid and there. So special.
It's like drinking, boiling up ginger, and not boiling the ginger, but just grating the ginger small or cutting it into very fine little pieces, and putting it into a teapot and putting boiling water into it, and then sipping on it throughout the day. And what you don't finish, don't throw out. Just pour it in because it'll be cool. Pour it into your liter or your 600 millimeter bottle. Put it in the fridge overnight and have it the next day. It tastes absolutely delicious when it's cold, and it's very good for you. It's like I say about salt. If you drink a lot of say mountain water, like bottled water, for God's sake, just be very careful which one you do take, because there are some on the market that sometimes only just filter the water and make it out to be mountain water, which is not, and that's not good for you. The water that I've discovered the best, as I said many times to you, is Aldi's. Bottled water, Aldi's. But if you take that and say you put a bit of salt into it, natural sea salt, like there's a good one called Celtic, or you can get Atlantic, but I have not been able to find Atlantic sea salt, the one that I want. So I use Celtic, which is the closest thing, and it's very good. And if you get the grains, there's one they call fine, but it's got very fine grains.
Oh, yeah.
And I buy it in 2 kilo lots. It only cost me I think $13 plus $12 for delivery. And it comes from America or overseas somewhere. Yeah. So I use that, and I just put half a teaspoon into a liter, and I have that. You got 84 different nutrients going into your body, natural nutrients.
Like minerals,
Table salt, minerals, Table salt has got about 3 or 4, because all the nutrients has been taken out of table salt and created to other factories that use them as substitutes. And that's something that's ludicrous. You're better off keeping sea salt with all its elements. And you've got that going into your body, which is brilliant. It's just so much. Iodine, what your body needs. One of the biggest things that your body needs is iodine. The other one is folate. Folate is so important because there's something to do with something acid, fatty acids. That's right, fatty acids. They are so good for the human body. So if you want to put a lot into you, have lots of broccoli. Steam it and create yourself a natural sauce that you can dip after you steam the broccoli, and just dip it and eat it. It's so delicious. I have it with chili sauce. I love it with chili sauce.
Chili sauce, yeah.
Mm.
This movie that the what the bleep do we know that was featuring
Yes.
Dr. Emoto, that was such a special movie, wasn't it? The way they put it
Absolutely
together,
was.
people should, if they haven't seen it, go and find it. It's so good. They've even got another one called What the Bleep Down the Rabbit Hole, which is the second
Yeah.
one. And
That's volume 2.
yeah. The fact that they can show chemically with like cartoons and such inside us the reason that we can be addicted to emotion or the reason we act the way we act and blow up the way we do, so well put together.
Yes. Let me put it this way. I'll put a negative and a positive. Go negative first. Everything we do negatively reflects on not just our life, it reflects on our thoughts, it reflects on our actions, and it reflects in our body, which is a negative completely. But when we look at something positive by saying, I'm going to change. I'm going to change my diet. I'm definitely going to change my thinking. I'm going to try and become more self-aware of my surroundings. I'm not going to hang around acid people. I'm going to start looking for positive people. But I'm going to be positive in myself. The more we communicate to ourselves like that, the quicker the changes take place. If we live in a household that is 100% negative, and when I say a household, I'm not just talking about a family. We might live with 4 or 5 other people or three other people. And those 3 people might be really negative, or 2 of them might be negative. That will affect the other 2 or the other 1 in a really negative way. And they, in most cases, after a year or 2 or 3, will end up the same as them, negative. But if they suddenly realize, I can't live like this, they got to find another place to live that's positive. Because that will affect us emotionally and pull us down into their way of thinking. And that's not good.
It's so, when you describe it and how to do it, it sounds so simple. And I think it is simple. It's just it's so easy for us to fall back into our past conditioning and just forget. Like I go a couple of days and I think, oh, heart. That's right. I have a heart. I've learnt so much from Kuntarkis about the heart. What am I doing? I've gone days without even thinking about it or talking to it or trying to work to come from it. And I think it's just our conditioning takes us back to who we were so easily.
Michael, we are all living energy. Our body is a living energy, not just the exterior, the interior. Every organ is created out of living energy. Yes, manifested and appears to be physical. The blood is living energy. Everything, all the food we put into our bodies is energy. All the fluids we put into our body is energy. Our emotions judge how we turn out by what we put in, from thoughts to food to water in our bodies. If we put junk in 3 cycles, which is water, food, and thoughts, we have a very negative outcome in life. I guarantee it. And it'll be a lot of hurt, a lot of emotions, a lot of pain and misery. And we don't want that. We're a conscious being. We need to change into a positive attitude. And if we do certain things, like say we walk down the street, we're a really aggressive animal. And if somebody looks at us the wrong way, we tell them off and threaten to punch their head in. And sometimes they do. That's where we have to stop. Because the more we do, those negative things, the more karma we create upon ourselves. And it will hit us somewhere in our present life and more so in our next to show us that we have been living a negative existence. That's why living a positive existence is the only way. And if we're around people who are negative all the time, get them out of your life. 100%. Even if they're family. Because you will never grow. You will constantly be caught up in their negative emotions, which will become a part of your negative emotions, which you'll pass on to your children as negative emotions. And you'll even bring a woman or a man into your life that is like you. And there'll be nothing but hell. So we need to change that. That's the only way to express anything is the truth. The other truth is we can also go into a positive thing and create a positive life. Yes, it may take a while for it to expose itself because we have so much negativity to let go of. But it's going to help us not only in this life, but in all our future lives. And I don't care what anyone says or how intelligent they think they are. Reincarnation is a natural occurrence upon this planet, 100%, like it is on other planets. Now, if we take, say, beings like the fifth dimension or the seventh dimension, like the Nipulans, well, they don't have what we have here. They are in total harmony, total peace, total positivity. They don't need the negative aspects in life anymore. They have gone beyond that. The same with the fifth dimensional beings. The fourth dimension, well, there are thousands of levels of different forms of consciousness, from the astral vibration right into spirit world and going beyond. But we live in this moment in a third dimensional vibration. And that's where we need to change what we are here and now. And if we do that, the future life or who we bring into our life will be like us, more positive, more loving from the heart. And you'll end up having and creating loving children, who they then will have a more balanced life. The other way around, those poor kids are taking on all your crap, and all they're going to have is the same negative attitude life is yours. And that's the total truth. That's what we've got to change, from negative to positive. Everything's a learning. Everything is balanced.
And you've expressed that how simple it is. Like, change your next thought that comes in.
Yep.
It's not the right one. Just change it. Yeah, it doesn't mean that we have to waste time and money looking back into our past for the reasons that things are the way they are in our lives. It's not really necessary to do, is it?
No.
Just be present
not.
and grow. Yeah.
Yeah. Be present and grow, and be willing to grow.
Be willing to grow beyond who you are, who you've been.
Yeah. And the interesting part about that in growth, when you start to really want to grow, you'll bring a person into your life. If you're a man, you'll bring a woman in. If you're a woman, you'll bring a man in. The other way around, that's non-existent. No such thing as a man can be a woman and a woman can be a man. That's just a load of crap. But if you bring a person into your life because you're willing to grow, even if you can't grow straight away, and 6 months, 12 months down the track, that person's love for you will help you. Or your love for them will help them. And you both grow. And then your children will grow, and their children, and their children. And we'll go back to the natural part of what nature is, the balance of life.
Balance of life.
And the other thing I've got to say too, we have to stop wars, especially amongst ourselves. We are the worst, how would you say, the worst species when it comes to wars within our own species. We've been doing it not just for 928,000 years, long before that, because there are cellular structures within our cellular structures that go back 41 million years, no matter how we look at it.
Wow.
So we need to change us first. And by changing us, we help change the entire world. Slowly, but surely.
Yeah. Is it possible that this planet could be around for another 41 million years?
Of course you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What we need to do is grow up and take responsibility for who we are as humanity and get rid of the other crap like the aliens out of our vibration and not allow them to consciously control us and, how would you say, drive us in a direction that will eventually annihilate us.
Do you reckon if the military took a stand that they could make a massive difference in that regard?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find that's one thing that President Trump will be working on. He's doing a lot of different things. You know what's really, now I've got to say this, what's really interesting about what's happening with Trump and his other people involved with him, they're all being put down for whatever reason. And these people who are putting him down are paid by the elite criminals. Because they didn't win the election, and he did, because the people suddenly said, no, Trump is the person to put in. And yet there is so much negativity being said about him, really stupid stuff. And yet the interesting factor is he washes it off like water, just falling off his body, because he knows what they're about. He's a very intelligent and has a very high IQ. They're all saying that he's got a very low IQ, right? They're putting him down in so many ways. If he was a low IQ, he would want to jump out and shoot every one of them. But he's not. He understands. But those people don't realize the amount of karma that those idiots are actually putting upon themselves in their future life and their present life. When you start putting people down in such a negative way because you're being paid to, but you know that's not what you want to say, but you're doing it for the money, that karma will come back on you. And more likely, you'll end up in poverty or in pain some way. A big lesson.
So what's a simple way, Kuntarkis, that people right now could be like, okay, I'm going to take charge in a simple way. I'm going to maybe say something to myself and start moving forward in a conscious and positive direction.
I love myself 100%. I love myself 100%. And I am going to change my life 100%. I am going to think about what I have been doing and see the wrong and the negatives within that 100%. Because I love myself and I deserve 100% to be a better thinking being. Things like that.
Yeah.
That is enough to create, how would you say, a positive line of energy.
Yeah, if you say that to water, say that to your water before you drink it.
Yes. Yes. Anything that's positive towards, I love it because it's living energy. This is where people, I don't think, totally fully comprehend when they research it, the really deep essence of what water is. Water is no different than to a metal car, no different to grass, no different to concrete, no different to the human body, no different to a building, anything. It all comes from the same source, and it's been created into a vibration. Water has its own vibration. A car has its own vibration. A building has its own vibration. A human, or all of humanity, have their own vibration. And that's what we got to realize. And we got to realize if Yarkis Kardas created the earth and he created living consciousness within the earth is now creating life on this planet. It's alive. It breathes. It has blood like our bodies flowing all over the earth, which is volcanic lava. So we start to see life in a different aspect, a different view, not to what we've been taught. Because most of the stuff to what we've been taught is a complete lie. And I mean it.
You're really
Complete lie.
basic. Yeah, I think there are a lot of people spread out around the world that have drink bottles that say I love you" on the
Yes,
drink
there
bottle
are.
for good reason. They know that it
Yep.
works. They know that it's a thing. Yeah.
If you hold a bottle of water, whether it's 1.5 liters or 600 or 1 liter, you hold it up against your heart with your hand over and both of them, both your hands over it, and just press it lightly up against your heart and say, "I love you, water, because my heart can feel your vibration. I love you, water, with all my essence, with all my heart. I love you. Please help purify my body." Hold it there for another 10 or 20 seconds, then open it and drink it. And if you come from the heart, you will feel the vibration. And that's the interesting factor. When you raise your consciousness, you are raising your vibration. When you raise your vibration, you begin to feel other forms of vibration. That's the interesting factor, because you're a living, conscious being, made and created for one purpose out of living energy, to evolve consciously.
Right. That's our purpose, of course, to evolve consciously.
Yep.
Yeah.
And get rid of the garbage. All the garbage on earth, like the elite criminals, all of them, they all need to be packed into one thing and vaporized. I know I've said this a few times, but they do. The only way we're going to truly grow as a race, as humanity, is to get rid of the evil, because it's been around for so long, and all it's done is create negativity, misery and pain, and domination and control, and mass murder. That's all it's ever done. It needs to be got rid of. And I tell you, we get rid of it, the entire consciousness of humanity, what's left, will be amazed in what they're sensing and feeling.
Yeah, speaking of,
Suddenly it's like, yeah,
oh, sorry, speaking of, do you think, like, if you were to continue being here, that your ability to wield better magic would be easier?
yes, yes, it would actually, yes.
Yeah, because the
Yeah,
negativity's been
100%.
lifted.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow. Dream world. It would become a
Mm.
magical place. Wow. You can
Yeah, it
wave your
would be,
hand
mate.
in this, and you can wave your hand at that. You can wave your hand at this, and you
Absolutely.
can wave your hand at
Yep,
that.
absolutely.
Wow. Imagine the healings you would do on the whole world just by, you personally would be able to heal the world so effectively if just by thinking about them for a few moments, considering
Yep,
that the veil of negativity was lifted. Wow.
yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it would be absolutely a beautiful thing. And you imagine then how beautiful it would be for children, how they would have a non-negative world, and they'd be able to grow naturally, naturally.
Wow.
And that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, anyone who's interested in the seeing some proof about the Dr. Emoto's water, it's really easy. I think even if you just Google Dr. Emoto, the images that would be related are quite special. The difference between like writing "I love you" on a sheet that is frozen,
Yes,
and then it shows these beautiful crystal stars or whatever, and then something that says "I hate you" and it's absolutely distorted and ugly.
that's right.
Absolutely amazing what he did. He delved really deep and found some absolute, I don't know, proof of
Yep,
life, proof of
that's right.
quantum life.
Yep. But they all tried to close that down. Apparently, when that first came out, and I have to check on the date, I can't remember, but you're probably right in what you were saying. But um, apparently, all of Europe, massive, massive amount of people all over Europe were gobsmacked
Yeah,
when they saw that. It spread like flies in Europe. And people all over Europe were doing exactly what he said. They were loving the water. They were, doing this, doing that. It was just incredible, apparently.
This concludes another episode of Kuntarkis. If you'd like to find out more about Kuntarkis, find his website, which is etcconsciousness.com. He has articles there, he has his books listed there, and also if you have any reason to contact us in general for any reason, just email kuntarkis@gmail.com. That's it for now. Thanks so much for listening. My name is Michael Yon, and stay tuned for more.